Another way we could solve quadratic equations is by taking square roots. Quadratic equations have a squared term as their highest term. They're degree 2. So we can take a square root if we have the equation solved for the squared term. Okay, so in this case we have k squared on a side by itself equals 16. Here's another example. This is sigma squared equals 27, and we have the squared on a side by itself, and in this case we have 2 rho minus 3 squared. Okay, so the squared term or factor is on a side by itself equals 5. All right, so in these cases it is very convenient, or if we can conveniently put it in this form well or easily, then it is convenient to go ahead and solve by this method. So what we're going to do is take the square root. Okay, the opposite of squaring something is taking the square root. So we'll take the square root of both sides, but we have to remember that when we do so, we need to do plus or minus on the other side. Okay, it's like absolute value, plus or minus. Okay, so plus or minus square root of 16 is plus or minus 4. And then we have our two answers. Okay, and why does this work out? It is because if we take 4 squared, that is 16, and also negative 4 squared is 16. When we square a negative number, it becomes a positive number. So it does check out. All right, so let's do the next one. Sigma squared is 27. So the same thing, we're going to take the square root of both sides. And remember to do plus or minus. So we get sigma is plus or minus the square root of 27. But we need to simplify this square root. How can we simplify the square root of 27? 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. So just remember to pull things out of a square root in pairs. So this comes out, and we get 3 square root of 3. Okay, plus or minus. So this is two separate answers. This is like saying sigma equals 3 root 3, or sigma equals negative 3 root 3. Two separate answers, but we shorthand it to write it plus or minus. All right, last one. 2 rho minus 3 squared equals 5. Okay, so again, we're going to take the square root so that we can get rid of that radical. So 2 rho minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 5. Great. Now we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. 2 rho equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5. And then lastly, we'll divide both sides by 2. Rho equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. Okay, looks kind of messy, but it is right. Great.